Abilene Tucker has moved right on in with some of my all-time favorite book characters, right up there with Anne Shirley and Lucy Pevensie. And in Moon Over Manifest by Clare Vanderpool, you can read Abilene's story and fall in love with her too. She has landed smack dab in the middle of Manifest, right in the middle of the Great Depression, 1936, and she's determined to figure out her father's place in this town and its past, but it seems like he went through and didn't leave a single trace. Things pick up when she discovers a cigar box full of boyhood treasures, including letters that mention a spy named the Rattler. Soon her new friends, Ruth Ann and Letty, are on an honest-to-goodness spy hunt, trying to discover secrets from the town's past. They're helped out along the way. Their sister Redempta, the nun who's in charge of the school, who, can you believe it, gives Abilene an assignment for the summer even though she only showed up on the last day of school. There's Shady, the preacher who's taken her in and who once upon a time took her father in. He's a temporary pastor in a church that's half an altar and half a saloon. There's Miss Sadie, the diviner who lives behind the gate to the road to perdition, but she only tells stories from the past. Can Abilene piece these together to discover the truth about her father? There's also someone warning them away with scary messages on their treehouse fort, leave well enough alone. What will Abilene discover as she hunts through the town's past and explores its present? I don't know, but it's bound to be life-changing for everyone. Here's just one of my favorite scenes as Abilene is headed into Manifest for the very first time. Path to Perdition, May 27th, 1936. First things first, after jumping from a train, you needed to check and make sure you still had what you jumped with. That was always easy for me, because I never had much. Gideon said all you needed was your traveling pack and a good head on your shoulders. I had both, so I figured I was in good shape. Heading for a grove of trees that looked half alive, I found a creek. It was only a trickle, but it felt cool and clean on my face and hands. Now I could face the preacher I was to stay with for the summer. How my daddy ever got hooked up with the preacher, I can't say, as he's not a church-going man. Apparently, the preacher had taken in a wandering soul now and then, and Gideon had been one of them. In any case, Pastor Howard was expecting me, and no amount of dilly-dallying would change that fact. I hunted up a good fence-running stick and rattled it along the first fence I came to. Gideon and I found that sounds fill up an empty quiet. When I was younger, we spent many a walking hour singing, making up rhymes, playing kick the can. Now the sound of stick on fence carried off into the trees, but it didn't fill the emptiness. For the first time I could recall, I was alone. Maybe I'd try the rhyming. Gideon would start with a line and I'd come up with another that rhymed. The clatter of the stick provided a nice rhythm for the rhyme running in my head. I wish I had a penny and I wish I had a nickel. I'd trade 'em both in for a coffee and a pickle. I wish I had a quarter and I wish I had a dime. I'd buy a stick of gum before you could tell the time. I wish I had an apple and I wish I had an orange. I realized I'd rhymed myself into a corner with orange when my stick came to a gate. A wide wrought iron gate that had every manner of doodads welded right into it. Forks, kettles, horseshoes, even the grate off an old potbelly stove. Looking closer, I ran my fingers over the black iron letters sitting along the top of the gate. The letters were kind of crooked and a little uneven, but they looked to read Perdition. Now Gideon and I had been to enough church services, hoping to get a hot meal afterward, that I'd heard the word a time or 10. Preachers used it. They told people to give up their evil ways or follow the devil straight down the path to perdition. Why somebody would want that word welded on their gate, I can't say, but there it was. Go get a copy of Moon Over Manifest and read it now.